playing in the essential stitches on the Pfaff Creative Icon 2. And since we were just doing the mending stitches, I thought we should just jump over and do the video for how the eyelets are created. So mending stitches, super easy. You've got a couple different styles to create, but in this menu you've got bar tacks, decorative bar tacks, and eyelets. So I use eyelets for sometimes more decorative work than anything, and Pfaff does have some beautiful decorative eyelets for you to stitch out. Remember, we've talked about stitching out your stitch book, and these are great. They really look good stitched out in variegated thread if you want to try something exciting. So I am going to look over here. We see foot 2A is the recommended foot. There's a new little symbol that recommends that you have some stabilizer underneath. Now I'm going to stitch these without stabilizer so I can kind of show you what might happen if you don't have the right stabilizer. This fabric might be sturdy enough, but it is kind of squishy. So let's go ahead, stitch out a eyelet. Now you notice that it doesn't really show right here, so you can actually move this down just because it doesn't have a stitch repeat. That's why you're not seeing it. Or we could have left this here and minimized this, and it will move that stitch pattern to the center of your screen. So if you can't find your stitch, sometimes that's where it's hiding, kind of right up and under here. Now you can always move this to another location. So maybe you want it down over here, but I like it kind of in this upper part because my eye goes to that corner first as I get to the screen. I see my recommendations first, and then I kind of work my eyes down to the rest of the screen. And so that's a good place to have it. Anything that needs to pop up or tell you to change is going to show up in orange or even red if you have the foot on backwards, which I love on this machine. So eyelets, let's go ahead and play with how to stitch these out. So here's some examples where I've used eyelets and threaded cord through them for one of my miniature Stitching Cosmos classes. This quilt is very small blocks compared to our other ones. If you want to learn more about uses of decorative stitches for what they weren't intended for, the Pfaff Stitching Cosmos course might be right for you. You can find those links and free videos that you can check out in the description below. So on an eyelet, we're going to just go ahead and step on the foot control and stitch. So as it stitches out its circle and then the satin stitch over it, just keep your foot on the foot control until it stops. So right now, machine is stopped, my foot is still down. So as soon as I lift it up, I can touch the scissor button, cut the thread, and let's just see how it turned out without stabilizer. Oh no, it's kind of got a little mushed. It's not balanced is what we call this. That's why having stabilizer under your fabric gives the little feed dogs something to grip onto so it can move the fabric around so we don't get distorted eyelets. Let me go ahead and just try one more. We may or may not see one as kind of off. I'm going to do a little bigger version. This one's the eyelet number 2. It's kind of got those little spikes going out to the corners, and just see if we have the same issue. And then, if you have this, even with stabilizer, I want to show you an option for how to fix it. Nope, still going to be unbalanced. Have you noticed you have a function down along the bottom of your screen called balance? So in here, this would be a perfect example to show you how to fix it. So it says, change the preview on screen to match the sewn sample. Oh, this is going to be perfect. Okay, so here's the one that didn't go. So let's just go ahead and do plus. And what's happening is it's shifting the stitch. So I kind of guessed by first touching the plus, and yes, it did shift it, and it now matches what happened on my fabric. Let me just take it the other direction and see that the opposite way would have shifted, and it would have looked like this. So that's why we're going to go ahead. We're going to create the problem on screen. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put it at apparently 6.0. The machine knows what to do. What it's going to do is make and force this stitch to turn out correctly. Here's my fixed eyelet. You see that the machine knew exactly how to shift it to stitch out, and I didn't have to add stabilizer. Now, again, stabilizer is key, and that would have been the easiest result to make this not be an issue in the first place. But there are times on certain fabrics, fleeces, corduroys, you know, those bumpy fabrics, that you might need to balance a stitch. You come here and do what you're told, make it look like the issue you see on your fabric, and before you know it, you can correct the problem without feeling like you had to totally start over. Do that OK button. It will keep the balance for that stitch applied, and you could continue stitching as necessary. So try the eyelets, try your other fun stitches in the Essential Stitch Menu 1.4, and if you're unsure what they are, touch that question mark and pick a stitch. It'll tell you what it is and how to use it.